On July 2, 1937, one of the most famous women on Earth climbed into an aircraft and took off on what should have been another historic flight. She never returned. No confirmed wreckage, no body, no distress call explaining what went wrong. Just a final radio transmission that would become one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. Nearly 90 years later, investigators, historians, and treasure hunters are still asking the same question. What really happened to Amelia Earhart? By 1937, Amelia Earhart was already a global celebrity. She had become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean and had shattered multiple aviation records. Determined to make history once again, she planned to become the first woman to fly around the world near the equator. The journey covered more than 29,000 miles. Alongside navigator Fred Noonan, Earhart successfully completed most of the route. Only one major leg remained, a flight from Lee, New Guinea, to a tiny speck of land in the Pacific Ocean known as Howland Island. The destination was so small that finding it would be like locating a single grain of sand in an ocean. Yet if they reached it, the hardest part of the journey would be over. On the morning of July 2nd, Earhart and Noonan took off in their Lockheed Electra. At first, everything seemed normal. Radio operators received regular transmissions. The aircraft appeared to be on schedule. But as the flight progressed, communication problems began to emerge. Earhart reported difficulties receiving radio signals. Navigation became increasingly challenging. Hours later, a message arrived that would become infamous. "We must be on you but cannot see you." Aircraft was believed to be near Howland Island. Yet despite extensive efforts, neither Earhart nor Noonan could locate the island. Minutes later, another transmission followed. The message suggested the aircraft was flying along a navigation line in an attempt to find land. Then silence. No further confirmed communications were ever received. At first, investigators believed the answer was simple. The aircraft ran out of fuel and crashed into the Pacific Ocean. It seemed logical. The island was tiny. Radio communication was poor. The Pacific Ocean is vast, but there was a problem. Some researchers argue that multiple radio signals were reportedly heard after the aircraft disappeared. If the plane had crashed immediately into deep water, how could signals have continued? Others pointed to navigation calculations, suggesting the aircraft may have been farther from Howland Island than originally believed. The official explanation suddenly became less certain. The United States launched one of the largest and most expensive search operations of its time. Ships searched thousands of square miles. Aircraft scanned the ocean. Resources were deployed across the Pacific. Nothing was found. Years turned into decades. Investigators revisited old records. Researchers analyzed radio logs. Expeditions explored remote islands. Every potential clue was examined. Yet the mystery only grew deeper. The first and most widely accepted theory is known as the crash and sink hypothesis. According to this explanation, Earhart and Noonan simply ran out of fuel while searching for Howland Island. The aircraft crashed into the ocean and sank to depths that remain difficult to search even today. Its strength lies in its simplicity. However, despite numerous searches, no definitive wreckage has ever been identified. The second theory suggests they reached an uninhabited island called Nicumararo. Supporters believe the crew landed on a reef and survived for a period of time. Over the years, researchers have reported possible artifacts, bones, and evidence of human activity. Critics argue that none of the findings have conclusively proven Earhart's presence. A third theory claims the aviators were captured after landing within territory controlled by the Japanese Empire. Some believe they were mistaken for spies. The theory gained attention through witness stories and alleged photographs. Yet no definitive evidence has ever confirmed this claim. Each theory explains certain pieces of the puzzle. None explains everything. Then came a surprising development. Decades after Earhart disappeared, researchers re-examined measurements from bones discovered on a Pacific island in 1940. The original analysis had concluded the remains belonged to a man. But later studies suggested the measurements could be more consistent with Amelia Earhart than previously thought. the actual bones had long since disappeared, meaning the most important physical evidence in the case could never be tested again using modern technology. If those bones truly belonged to Earhart, the mystery may have been partially solved decades ago, and the proof was lost forever. Nearly 90 years later, Amelia Earhart's final flight remains one of history's most fascinating mysteries. Did she run out of fuel and disappear into the Pacific? Did she survive on a remote island, or is the truth hidden somewhere investigators have never searched? The evidence points in multiple directions, but the answer remains elusive. So after examining the clues, what do you believe really happened to Amelia Earhart?